Okay, good evening, everybody. I call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Item number one. Item number two, roll call. Councilman McCoy.
Joe Pérez present.
Joel Garcia present.
Linda Sarabia present.
Javier Ramirez present.
Anthony Oresti present.
Regular present. I do declare a quorum. Item number three, we may stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Certifying the invocation, we go backwards. All right. Anybody up here want to lead us in a prayer? All right. You? All right. Thank you.
Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the opportunity to come together. Lord, we especially thank you for your grace and favor over our city. We ask you that you guide us in all the decisions that we have to make tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Item number 4, certifying posting of agenda.
Council members, the agenda was duly posted 72 hours before the meeting as required by state law.
Thank you. Item number 5, public comments. Anybody sign up for public comments?
No one signed up for the meeting.
Okay. Item number 6, consent agenda. Excuse me, we have a motion?
I second.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Item number 7, all business. 7A, discussion and possible action to appoint members of the audit committee. Staff by City Manager.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Rachel Chapa, Director of Finance for the City of Palmview. I have presented to you a copy of the updated application to serve on the City of Palmview board. And you can see on the upper right-hand corner, there should be an audit committee on there, and I have stipulated that an individual who wishes to serve on this committee must be familiar with the audit process. That's the only stipulation aside from, the other ones on.
They should know the audit process?
They should be familiar with the audit process. And if anybody would like to get a little read up on it, I have some literature that I can distribute to anyone who's interested in it.
How many members?
We'd like to start with 3 or 4 members at this time. At this time, we haven't received any applications, so we're not ready to appoint anyone. We just wanted to update you.
Oh, it's going to be an application?
Yes, and it would be for the audit year of 2020, which is with the new audit year coming up.
Right off the top of my head, I can't think of anybody that would know about the audit process. So
we could
Recommend right now.
No, we're not ready to appoint anyone at this point. I just wanted to update you with the notification on the application.
Mr. Mayor, I'd ask you to post, entertain a motion to postpone to the next Rotary Joe meeting.
Once I receive some applications, and then we're able to proceed to the next step. I have put copies of these applications up in the file.
Motion to postpone to item A.
Thank you.
Motion by Mr. Ramirez. Second by Mr. Garcia. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Please sign motion carries. Item B, discussion and possible action regarding the scheduling of a Saturday workshop.
Mayor, if I may. At the last meeting, we talked about, we had our workshop back in March, and we talked about let's reconvene in May, and we're looking at Saturday in May. May seems to be, we have a few things going on with the calendar and so forth. So speaking with Annette, what we're talking about is if you still want to entertain the idea of having a workshop to reconvene, maybe we do it at somebody's set in June instead.
Okay, I'll take June. And make sure to look at
June sounds good, yeah, because July's gonna.
And then I guess Annette can start working, we're reaching out to the council members as to their availability in June.
Right, and I did provide the calendar there just so you can get a glimpse of the meetings. And if there's, if you're ready to make set a date, if not, then we'll go.
Is this the same one on item C?
On which one, sir?
Summer
The summer
workshop.
workshop.
Yeah.
That's another one.
Yeah, that will be another one that's more with the employees. This was more for the council, the workshop that we have. The next one will be on the
So I guess the motion will be on B would be to move to June.
Move to June and get with us on the dates.
I second.
Okay, we got a motion made by Mr. Garcia, second by Mr. Perez. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, questions? Okay, motion carries, same side. Item C, discussion of possible action regarding the scheduling of summer workshop.
Mayor, if I may, this, we discussed briefly at our last meeting, but this is an annual workshop that the city has done in the past, together with the department heads, kind of like a retreat session where we talk about some of the projects and the initiatives we hear from the department heads and so forth. We bring in economic advisors or reports from other agencies as well. So we just wanted to get some direction from the council. If you still want to pursue that, we can start looking at dates. I think, Annette, if, are we looking at July or June as well?
Right, we were looking at July. I think that to also coincide with the budget process, so we could be able to review the proposed budget.
Would it be
I'd like to-
Saturday too?
They'll pick a day, it might be during a Monday because they work.
Friday, Saturday last year, was it?
Last year was Friday, Saturday.
I'd like to,
It'll be by the
Right,
bar.
one of the items would be to review the proposed budget.
to postpone.
Yeah, motion to postpone until we have the dates and.
Yeah, we don't have to make a commitment right now to support stuff.
Good.
Some other things that we like to discuss as far as locations and so forth and costs associated.
I think get a budget based on last year's, the similar times, dates.
And I think we've already started looking at that, so we'll finalize that and then present that to you guys.
Okay, so there's been a motion by Mr. Ramirez to
Second.
postpone, there's a second by Mr. Ramirez. All in favor?
Aye.
Any questions? Okay, motion carries in time. New business, number 8. A, discussion and possible action regarding a resolution amending Resolution 2017-24, providing for ratification of changes for the regular meeting scheduled for May 2019.
Mayor, if I may, our regular scheduled meetings are the first and third Tuesday of the month. So the next one being in 2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from today, we're going to be at a conference, so we will have a quorum to be able to handle city business. So this resolution will allow us to change. And I think right now we're looking at maybe doing it the week before, which would be next Tuesday, unless you prefer to do it the Tuesday after.
Tuesday,
Okay, so there's a motion for,
We do have some, I would just, if I may, some pressing issues that we may need to bring to council soon. And if we do, we'll probably reach out to you guys about a potential special meeting. As far as the regular meeting, if you want to do it the week after, is that what we're talking about?
What's your
Either
motion?
way, I think what you tell me, Tuesday would be better for you. Tuesday. The 28th, this is on the.
And one thing to bring in mind, we're finalizing the audit. The audit might be ready for the council's consideration as early as the 14th, and that is something that we're working, this is one of the things I was thinking about maybe especially, we are going to want to act on that quickly because that allows us to start the process with the refinancing with our financial advisors that we've been talking about. They want that audit completed so they can present that.
You know what, maybe after. So
What?
when they accept it,
What is next
Can you set up a
Tuesday?
special meeting with us?
On the 14th, probably, just sometime next week.
There's a pending zoning on the 14th at 6, so
We can have your regular meeting on the 28th in 2 weeks, but maybe have a special meeting next week with just one item or a couple of items, we'll keep it short.
Okay, second.
so there's a motion made by Mr. Ramirez on, we already got specific dates, right?
28th.
To the 28th, all right. And there was a second by Ms. Sarabia. There's already, questions? All right, vote, all in favor?
Aye.
And motion carries in time. Okay, so item item letter B, discussion of possible action on addition of police.
I so move.
Okay, there's been a motion, there's a second, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries in time. Item C, discussion of possible action of a resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application for the Office of Attorney General for the Victim Coordinator and Liaison Program set by PD.
I so move.
A motion by Ms. Arabia, second by Mr. Garcia. Questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed? Okay, same sign, motion carries. Item letter D, discussion possible action of a resolution providing for the appointment of additional members of the Youth Advisory Council, FIPB. Okay, there's a motion made.
Second.
A second by Mr. Ramirez. Questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed? Okay, same sign, motion carries. Item E, discussion and possible action on the request of a retention bond for Silver Spur Apartments. A motion made by Mr. Garcia, second by Mr. Perez. Questions?
Mayor, if I may? Go ahead.
This pond, this Silver Spur, is this gonna be for 55 and over, or is, we're not a retention pond?
It's for, not
Purpose of the
going
building.
from it's not the 55 and over. Remember, there was two projects.
Right,
The other
right.
ones for, I guess, lower income. What they're asking for, and what we want to clarify on the motion that we made is, there are a couple of options as far as a drainage plan. So one of them requires us for the property to go north towards the expressway, which is what seems to be the preferred route, or if not, to go eastward. I'm sorry, yes, eastward. But there's going to be a condemnation process involved. So this other option about a retention pond came about that if, and I think Rudy can maybe expand on this, or somebody from the developers here, but if and only if we're not able to accomplish one of the other drainage projects, because the preference would be that we not have to do the retention pond, but if there's, the condemnation process is going to take time and cost involved, or we can't work with the property owner as far as going towards the expressway, then this would be kind of a fallback plan. But I guess if you'd like to just, I don't know if there's been recent discussions on the approval or the viability of the drainage plans, the other options other than the retention.
Good evening, my name is Tim Lang, I'm with the Silver Spur Apartments. We had tried to go north was our preferred route. That way we could tie into the existing storm sewer in the frontage road. However, we were unable to get an easement from the property owner. He wanted to sell the land and wouldn't grant us an easement, so he kind of cut off discussions. And we've pretty much run into the same situation going east. The property owner to the south is also in a condemnation right now just to get the sanitary sewer line put in August side. Yeah, we're in August, CCN.
How deep do you go?
How deep? It's going to be designed for 500-year flood event, so it's going to be.
So would the owner of that property that didn't want to grant the easement, does he have more land around the area?
I'm not aware of.
I'm just thinking, it's going to benefit the owner too.
Yeah, we tried to explain that to him. If he's got his mind set on selling the land, he wouldn't sell us an easement. And the same to the south. They would benefit from it as well. Either way, it would increase their property values, but for whatever reason, and I think they both have different reasons, neither one of us would sell us an easement.
Okay, there was a motion made by Mr. Garcia and a second made by Mr. Ramirez.
The other thing I would ask, if we can on that motion, if we can make it subject to or contingent on not being able to do the other option, then this will be the fallback option then.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just have
Take a time.
I'm leery about the water being around kids and a pond.
Oh, yeah,
Kids may
the
be-
pond, they'll be fenced, so, there won't be any access to it. And, there's going to be mitigation. It shouldn't hold much water, the soil there is very drainage friendly. So if it does hold water, it shouldn't be for a very long period of time. And we are cognizant of any kind of pest mosquito situation, and we'll mitigate that to the best of our abilities.
And there'll be some maintenance things that need to be addressed, maybe a maintenance agreement between the city and the developer to make sure that they maintain it in the proper manner. So,
Okay.
Something we discussed in that.
Right, and that's going to be, it's going to be the same, we will own that retention pond, but it's not going to be part of the apartment's property. So we have a service agreement that goes along with that.
So long as it's secure, the fence.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
I have a question. Where you're connecting to the TxDOT inlet on the interstate, are y'all doing any modification to that road?
To the frontage road?
Yeah. Well, no, to the road that's gonna lead to the frontage.
Yes, we're going to be extending water from the frontage road down Silver Spur
So you're gonna add
to
drainage to the road? Is that what-
drainage to the road? or from the road?
Right here you have a connection leading towards this in there, right?
Right, that was our first option, but we weren't.
Oh, that's your first option.
Exactly, that was, yeah. He said he was gonna call me back a week or so ago, and I haven't heard back from him.
Yeah, there's still, Mayor Pro Tem, there's 4 options, and Mayor as well, there's 4 options on the table. This action item is a contingent option. If the other 3 options don't work,
Okay.
this is their final option. We're asking, as well as recommendation from the city manager, if the other 3 options do not work, if pan out, that this be the final
There were
option.
2 other options.
But the engineer, when we, our engineers, the fever engineers, advised us that there were 4 possible options.
There were initially 4, the 4th one would have involved a retention pond with drainage from that pond, but that would have also required the same easement from the south over to Abram, to the east.
Because
There's 3 and then 4 options without the option.
Right, and actually, but the other one would have, option number 1 would have as well. They would be smaller retention ponds, but they would have a bleeder line that would drain into the storm source. But that would require us to get the easement to run the line to those sources.
yeah, I guess again, it's
Thank
contingent
you.
if it's deemed that if we're not
Good
able
luck.
to. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem,
There was
to
a-
clarify your motion, it is contingent upon the other options not succeeding, correct?
We had a motion and a second. Questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, same sign, motion carries. Item F, discussion and possible action on potential improvements to fire station.
Mayor, council members, I'd ask you to entertain a motion to move this item to executive session. I will be utilizing my attorney-client privileges.
I so move.
We have a motion by Ms. Sarabia, going to executive, and second by Mr. Perez. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed? Okay, same sign, motion carries. Going to executive session with item F. Item G, discussion and possible action on sponsorship request by RGV Partnership Foundation for the 30th Annual Valley Proud Honors Banquet.
I so move to approve.
Second motion by Ms. Sarabia, second by Mr. Ramirez. Questions?
If I may, the only thing I would ask, there are different levels of sponsorship, so I don't know if there's a particular level that you would like for us to consider. There's an associate member at 500, bachelor at 1,000, graduate 2,500, and doctorate at 5,000.
Is it tabled or? For
So 2 seats at the table for the associate, 2 seats at the table with the bachelor, and then, as you go up to the graduate, you get 5 seats for sponsors.
Okay. And this event honors the top 10 at Palmview High School.
What we can do,
Is it only at Palmview High School?
No, La Jolla High School, this other,
I
it's for the city of
Right,
Palmview.
we would have our representation from our school.
For our school.
And what we can do, if you'd like, is we can again have a net game for the council to see who's available, who'd like to go, and then based on that, we can make the determination of what level, as long as you be approved today.
So there's a motion by Ms. Sarabia.
I would
for-
say, yeah, not more than 1,000,
Okay, for 1,000, up to 1,000?
up to 1,000.
Okay, and Mr. Ramirez made a second. Questions? Okay, we already answered the questions. All in favor? Aye. Okay, anybody opposed? Okay, same sign carries. Item H, discussion and possible action on attendance of Nadeo at annual conference, June 20th through 22nd, 2019. Okay, there's been a motion by Mr. Garcia,
The second.
second by Ms. Sarabia. Questions?
Mayor, if I may, the only thing that we'd like to see is maybe direction, if the council has an idea of how many members representatives, or how many representatives from the council you'd like to try to make accommodations for. So we've been talking about, having a certain amount. Or we need to.
Correct.
We approve it. Okay. Then, again, we'll work with the next week after schedule.
Okay, there's a motion to, or You may call, you call us up and text us.
This should be the last major conference of the year.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed? Okay, signed, motion carries. Item I, discussion and possible action to close specific bank accounts.
I so move to close.
And if I may, Mayor, I'd ask you to entertain a motion to table items I and J and take these items up after executive session.
Okay, so we have items I and J, going into executive session, table the items.
Yes.
If there's no opposition, to go into executive session.
The motion is to table these items until after executive session. Once we commence with the executive session, these items will be brought back up, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so I amend my motion to table till after executive session.
There's been a motion to table. Mrs. Sarabia, second by Mr. Ramirez. Questions? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, anybody opposed? Same sign, motion carries. Item K, update on grant opportunities for City of Palmview.
Mayor, if I may, we met with Hollis, Rutledge and Associates today, and some of the direction that we've got, the feedback from the council, and then as far as priorities go, became the need for fire station repairs or fire station grants, any kind of emergency funding out there. And what they conveyed to us is there really isn't emergency funding out there. And as far as grant opportunities, there's not a whole lot on the grant side with USDA, but what they do have and what they would recommend is they have USDA lending programs. Long-term grants, they do grants for up to, loans. They do loans for up to 40 years, and by extending it 40 years, it minimizes the payment. Now, you don't want to, keep it for 40 years. If you're able to refinance or pay it off early, there's no prepayment penalty. But what they're looking at is maybe a 40 years, and the interest rates are about 4.25. So what we're going to do on the staff side is try to get some estimates as far as the cost of the repairs. And then, the other thing that they talked about is potentially maybe not just a fire station, but a multi-purpose center where you have fire, police, administration, courts, and so forth. So we're going to be putting more information on that front. This is just a brief update to let you know where we're at with that. Of course, they're still looking at grants as far as the library, parks, and I think on the fire side as well as fire, for the fire station, and then working with PD as well, with the police department. I think they've already submitted some grants.
What about the Main Street? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The Main Street grant that we're looking at is with the COG, the Lower Grande Valley Development Council, and that's being, we're already submitting, we already started the process of submitting that one. And that is a grant.
And they didn't update you on any Parks and Recs?
No, what we have on the Parks and Rec side, and what we're going to bring back to council shortly, is that we have 2 that we submitted last year, and the feedback that we got when we were in office from Texas Park and Rec was positive. They just had some few recommendations. So we're thinking we can continue on that front, submit what we have from last year's plans, maybe just update them. And that was a part, off 2-hour road, and then another hike and bike, I think, over like a trail off of South Benson. So we'll be bringing those to council for formal approval to submit.
So item K was an update.
Correct, no action.
Okay, any other input? All right, item L, update on street paving improvement projects.
Mayor, with your permission, I'd like to call on
Go ahead.
that to give us an update on this. Right now, we're just going to talk about the streets themselves, the paving of the streets themselves.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
Sure.
Up on the screen, you have the street map that I have here on my iPad. I think it's easier to look at a map and look at the streets and show what has been done, what is not. I'm going to try and go from left to right. Finally, Pettis Street has been completed to the fullest, paved. So I know we had a lot of residents and had a lot of problems, in that area, and we're finally able to complete that. So
For the people that are in the audience, the red means,
that is correct. The red means there's a little legend up at the top, has been paved. So anything you see in red is complete. Anything you see in green is scheduled for paving as soon as possible.
And blue is not paid.
Blue has not been released to us.
By ours.
Yeah,
By the engineers.
that is correct.
Contractors.
That's correct. So we've got that, obviously.
And those are all the streets that are gonna be paid.
That, the map represents 100% of
100%
that
of the
contract,
streets.
yes. That is correct.
Is there any streets there that are still being worked on that didn't show? Like,
No, this represents everything, the whole entire contract in entirety. So basically,
There's
the
no,
mo- there's no streets that are not shown.
like on Tierra Linda, there's some manholes that are not done yet that people are complaining about.
Yeah, if you see that in green, we still have it in green is because what we're gonna do is, a previous change order was approved to patch those instead of do the full overlay on the
The ones
street.
right in front by the elementary.
That's correct, so.
I think that's this one right here, right?
That is correct.
Linda, then the other half of
That is correct. So, since we did have Pettit Street released and we had Mike Barrera and Mockingbird, those were released, those were a big concern at the time, so we prioritized that. But we do have to go back to those specific areas that you're talking about.
Do you have an approximate date for those?
Not at the moment. I did want to get there soon because I wanted to completely remove it, but right now, our current plan is we're currently at Mike Barrera, so we have that as a priority, and we have already shaped the street. If you go by there right now, it's very close to being ready for asphalt. So we're Tuesday right now, so by Thursday we should be laying asphalt.
What about East Goodwin?
East Goodwin, we're going up there, so I won't lose my train of thought. Let me just add that on we're Triple D. I know we've gotten a whole bunch of calls. I know that the city has as well. We just milled that right now, so we just finished it today. That one also, the residents are seeing us work on there, so that probably will be paved by early next week. And the big one that where we have our office as well is on East Goodwin. East Goodwin has not been released. If you can tell, it's still in color blue. Our Sud still needs to have their contractor, yeah, that is correct. Our Sud still needs to have a manhole be put right at the intersection of East Goodwin and 495.
Are you serious? So they're gonna close that down?
They are going to close that down and reroute traffic.
But the yellow streets on the neighborhoods have been released?
They have been released, yes, and there's a pending issue, and I think that would be for the next item.
Encantado, El Mesquite.
Yes, and La Palma.
Oh, there's a pending issue on that?
Yes.
Oh, we're gonna discuss some of the next one.
Yeah. So we've, right after Triple D, we want to get moving on Palmview Commercial, is that the name?
Commercial Drive.
Commercial Drive. So we know that's been released and we want to jump on that. So that also, you'll get to see our milling machine work there mid next week.
And you can't move up Tierra Linda to just close that out before you get to Palmview Commercial Drive?
We can certainly do any of that. It's just basing it on the calls that I know that the city has received and ourselves. But we can schedule it any which way you all
The
want.
need, where the need, the
I
bigger
think
need.
Tierra Linda, no, we've got a lot of calls.
I think it has more traffic.
Than the Commercial Drive.
Yes.
Oh, you do? Okay, well
Well, I
then, we can
mean,
certainly.
more phone calls too.
Okay, and I had the different response, but that's why I was
Wow.
prioritizing that way, but we can most certainly go back.
Grab the ones here.
It's right here.
This one.
Okay, great.
Yes, Palmy Drive.
You have one side of the street that's okay.
The others.
Yeah, Tierra Linda, the thing about Tierra Linda is it only got torn up on the crossovers.
That's
So
correct.
most of the streets intact, it's just that every 15 to 20 feet you have those crossovers,
Right.
and it becomes
But you have all the other streets that are complete and the people think we just left them out.
That's correct.
Like all those manholes are gonna take you a long time, right?
They will, they're very time consuming, and it'll probably take a full week to do the whole entire section. Yes, it's very tedious work, it's very difficult.
What about the area over there on Flores Street where that bus?
That is being repaired by the Iowa subcontractor, and I believe, if I remember correctly, that has been repaired.
It hasn't.
It has.
Here last week.
It has to be paid.
I'm sorry?
Does it have to be repaid?
Yes, they had to recompact and repave, but you know what, I may be wrong in the Commissioner, because I looked this morning, I know that the front intersection right by 492 was repaired, so
192,
there was some accident.
they're responsible, and
but they gotta contract somebody else to pay it.
I think they're doing it themselves.
Right.
Yeah, the contractor, the utility contractor's doing it themselves.
I think on that side is
Give them a
LNG.
time limit or a time? there a time frame for that?
That's us.
That would be ours to.
We can bring it up in our,
That was
our
contracted,
committee meeting.
Okay, any other questions on the update of item L?
Mr. Mayor, I'll ask you to entertain a motion to move item M into executive session. That is the next item.
Okay, is there a motion to move item M to executive session? We have a motion.
I so move to move it to
Second,
executive.
Mr. Arabia. Second by Mr. Perez. Questions? Okay, thank you. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Okay, same side, motion carries. Item N, discussion and possible action regarding emergency medical service medical director agreement with Hober L. Smith, MD, for Fire Department EMS Division.
This one, Mayor, if I may, just if you're going to consider the motion, we ask that you approve subject to legal, to have, to give Mr. Suarez an opportunity to review.
Is it the same, that we had last year?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Attorney on this Fire Chief. No, that is, it is a different medical doctor that we're requesting for approval. We did submit, it is the same interlocal agreement, I'm sorry, the same agreement, not interlocal agreement, but same agreement that we utilized with the prior position. And that is because our current medical director gave a 90-day notice for us to look for another medical director. So we did find the medical director that is specific to emergency 911 response. As you see in your packet, he is certified with the Texas Department of State Health Services as a medical director, and
I guess I'll make a motion.
that's a physician.
Legal review.
There's been motion for subject to legal review by Mr. Garcia, second by Mr. Perez. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed? Okay, same side, motion carries. Item 10.
Yes, and just to reiterate on that, it is the same rate that the current medical director is charging us. So there's not an increase on that, it's the same.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item O, discussion and possible action on a resolution authorizing the hiring of Thomas Locato of Lloyd Gosling, Rochelle, and Townsend PC to review and intervene on behalf of the coalition of cities served by AEP Texas on AEP's filing.
Mr. Mayor, for these two, the next two items, item O and item P, I will give you all a brief background as to what's happening. AEP, this company, is now taking over our area. They have petitioned the PUC, the Public Utilities Commission, to increase the rates and decrease one of the rates, but the ones that we're focused on is the 4.2% increase. For this, we've spoken to AEP, myself, and Mr. Leo, as well as some attorneys that have contacted us. We're one of the cities that has original jurisdiction in regards to this rate increase, therefore we have a claim to the PUC. So that for these two, on the legal side, I would recommend approval for this resolution. Item O is giving us a little bit more time till June 5th. It will suspend the rate, putting the PUC on notice. And item P, item P suspends the rates. And item O is authorizing the hiring of the law firm to represent us at the PUC. I will also give you guys an update in regards to, how is it going and whatnot. Also, the legal fees, we will not be putting up any legal fees in regards to this. We will be reimbursed.
Great. Okay, so is there a motion for the approval of item O and P based on legal counsel recommendation? There's been a motion by Mr. Garcia. Second by Mr. Ramirez. Questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Same sign, motion carries. Item Q, discussion and possible action to allow the operation of a daycare within the newly annexed area of the city. There's been a motion made. Motion made by Mr. Garcia, second made by Mr. Ramirez. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, hold on, I missed the question for it, right? No, okay, now comes the questions. Any questions?
The vote's been taken, Mr. Mayor. No need for questions at this point.
Okay, excellent. All in favor, again? Okay, anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries, same sign. Number 9, monthly department reports. Please.
Mayor, if I may,
You gonna run that?
we have the reports, it should be available in your packet, so the practice is now, if the council has any questions, we can call on any of the directors who are available regarding the reports. If not, you can review the reports at your meeting.
Okay.
They're not action items, so they're being okay.
I make a motion to go into executive.
Okay, there's been a motion to go into executive by Mrs. Arabia. There's been a second by Mr. Perez. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries. Now in the executive session at 6:36 p.m. All right. It's 7:25 and we're out of executive session.
Mr. Mayor, the first item that we will take up, concluding executive session, will be item F. Ask you to entertain a motion to proceed as directed.
Is there a motion to proceed as directed on item F? We have a motion on Mr. Garcia. Second by Mr. Perez. Questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed? Okay, same sign, motion carries.
Next item we'll take up, Mr. Mayor, is item I and J, which were tabled prior to executive session.
For those, Mayor, I would like to call on Rachel Chapa, just to give us what the request is, as far as the action.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, members of the council. The request here in front of the council is for us to move, to consolidate our operations, to streamline them and move some bank accounts to one bank in order to, currently operating with multiple banks, and sometimes it impedes our efficiency and effectiveness.
Okay,
I
so,
move to close the specific account.
okay, so there's been a motion.
Item J.
A motion to close certain specific accounts as discussed in executive session and open specific accounts as discussed in executive session. And we have a second by Mr. Garcia. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed? Okay, same sign, motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, the next action item is item M under new business. And I ask you to entertain a motion to proceed as directed.
We have a motion to.
I so move to proceed as directed.
A motion by Mr.
Second.
Second by Mr. Perez. Questions? Okay, anybody, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries, same sign.
Mr. Mayor, the next action item is listed under 10, executive session. Item A, discussion of possible action regarding Palmview, Iowa Sud. You are authorizing that I sign the documents.
Second. A motion to authorize it by Mr. Garcia and a second by Mr. Ramirez. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, questions? All in favor? Same sign, motion carries. It is now
7:28.
7:28 and this meeting is adjourned.